Crossing to Capricorn is one of the most significant works in the Griffith University Art Collection for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that it's very strongly tied to the beginnings of Griffith University. It's the second public artwork that was commissioned for Nathan Campus. I think it ties the university now to the university that was.
From the university's founding and the development of the Nathan Campus, it was thought that artworks and collecting artworks was a really important aspect of the activities of the university for the enjoyment, but also the enhancement of the experience as an object of study as well. So it all becomes part of this experience of this brand new university that was going to set itself apart.
Crossing to Capricorn has had several iterations around Nathan Campus since it was first painted in 1979. The wall it was first painted on was knocked down to make way for some new buildings as the university expanded and evolved. And then again, it was relocated several times within the one building as the building went up. So I think its legacy is one of transience and adaptability around the campus. And I hope that this latest iteration is just the next in a long line of renewal projects that ensure that this mural continues to be a major part of Nathan Campus and the student experience. This project began almost 6 years ago now. When we were looking to do this, Alun had actually passed away a couple of years prior. We did have some pretty comprehensive notes from some of my predecessors and letters from Alun, and through that I was able to ascertain that he had, throughout this project's history, been very accommodating in terms of the needs of the university and the need for the mural to be adaptable to different locations. I contacted Nicholas Thompson Galleries in Melbourne, who are the estate representatives. And fortunately, Nicholas was very receptive to the idea of making the mural in all outdoor materials. And he then passed on to me that Nola, Alun's widow, was thrilled with the idea. So that was a really great response to get that.
Alun Leach-Jones was one of Australia's most preeminent painters, printmakers, draftspeople and sculptors. He was part of the field generation of Australian artists who are very well known for this kind of hard-edged, non-objective, geometric abstraction, but his work had lots of other dimensions to it, like the influence of pop art. So Alun Leach-Jones was also really well known as a great teacher and mentor.
And throughout his life in Australia, he taught at various institutions. In Victoria, he taught at the Pran College of Advanced Education. He taught at the National Gallery of Victoria Art School. He taught at the Victorian College of the Arts in 1972. And then later, when he was in Sydney, he taught at the City Institute, which became the College of Fine Arts in the late 1970s. Alun was born in Liverpool. He's often referred to as a Welsh artist, but he was born in Liverpool and his family relocated to Wales shortly after his birth. His father was a local school teacher in rural northern Wales, and Alun didn't actually speak English until he was 10 years old. So he was based in Wales for much of his early life. He first started painting in 1947 when he was 10 years old. He had an uncle who'd returned from the war and taught him watercolour painting. And then later, when the family moved back to Liverpool, Alun's first professional job, I guess, at the age of 14, was painting murals for his uncle's Post Office Club Society organisation. So murals are a form of work for him that has been something he's engaged with from a very, very young age. And it was during this time that he became more and more interested in art. He travelled to Madrid and Paris to see exhibitions of Gauguin. And then in 1959, he saw the New American Painting Show at the Tate Museum in London, which was a really formative experience, which led to him deciding that he was going to become an artist. And during this time, he was also taking night classes at the Liverpool Art School. So he moved to Australia in 1960. He relocated to Adelaide.
And studying under preeminent painters and printmakers there. He actually spent some time in London in the early 60s, studying under some of the great British pop artists like Patrick Caulfield, who were also very proficient in the area of printmaking. He returns to Australia and settles in Melbourne in about 1967, which is where I think he would have been selected to be included in the field exhibition, which was at the National Gallery Victoria in 1968.
And that was a group of kind of hard edge abstract painters. It was quite controversial.
And this was a really watershed moment for Australian art. It was a very contemporary show held in a space which was much more associated with historical artists and a far more kind of conservative art establishment.
The thing that really set his work aside was the intricacy in his forms. He put a lot of work into the detail of the forms and the quite complex shapes.
So Alun Leach-Jones was really part of this new guard of Australian artists with this bright, interesting, contemporary form of abstraction. As part of the process to develop this work, Alun Leach-Jones came to the university several times. He also completed a residency with us in 1979. At that time, Griffith University's residency program was one of the most sought after in the country because it was thought of as being very generous. And of course, he had this big commission that he was working on as well. He was really consultative and actually gave the staff and students several options for which design they wanted to finally settle on, which is incredibly generous in terms of, a commission like this.
Given Alun's legacy as an arts educator and really one of Australia's most impactful arts educators on a broad generation of contemporary Australian artists, I thought it would be a really nice nod to that legacy if we could incorporate a little bit of student learning into the project. So I contacted Simon de Groot, who runs the live art course at the Queensland College of Art and Design, and we set about formulating a plan to make it a student-led project, which has been a really wonderful experience.
It's really important to keep this work on campus and to update it when it needs to be updated, because it creates such a sense of place in the campus. And it's an opportunity for students to re-engage with this work in this new location. We're right near the Goanna Lounge and we're in a lot of green space around us. People are having lunch. It's so important because it signals to students that they can collaborate, they can creatively problem solve, and they can think outside of the box when it comes to their own education.
One of the main things that I like about this mural is the colour competitions. It's very bright, very bubbly for the space.
For me, this was completely out of my comfort zone, and I've never done a painting on this large scale before. I've managed to pick up some new skills and learn a few things.
To be able to do something where we are taking a piece of history and placing it on the wall and repainting it was very inspiring.
I've learnt a lot of technical skills. I've totally learnt a lot about the planning of murals too, how much equipment there is and how much work goes into it.
It looks amazing. I think our QCA students have done a wonderful job with replicating this piece of Australian art, and it really brings life to this space.
The artwork is suitable for everyone. It has a bit of everything, I think, in terms of the colour arrangement.
It looks really colourful, vibrant, adds some good life to the campus.
Definitely a bit different from the usual grey walls of Nathan campus, so I think it's a great addition.
I'm really inspired to see their creativity and the execution from the QCA students. It's a wonderful piece.
We sometimes think about public art as being something that's just for those who engage closely with it. Public art in this instance is something for everybody, and the opportunity for our staff and students to engage with our own public art here on this campus is something that I think is incredibly significant. The person who created this work, Alun, was an educator and an artist, and it was really important for him, right back in those early days when we first created this mural, for staff and students to come to reflect on the art, to interact with the art, to be part of a community that is thinking about art, is thinking about the relationship of art and their studies, art and society. And so we see this as making a really valuable contribution to the student and staff experience here on this campus.
This is one of my favourite works in the university's art collection because it feels very much of its time. You know, it was made in the 70s and it fits in beautifully with the architecture of the campus. It's got this beautiful hard-edged elements to it, but then there's these really playful, much more kind of wandering shapes and organic forms to the mural as well. The colours are incredibly vibrant and it demands attention.
I am just so thrilled to see this project finally come together. It's been such a long time in the making.